Boa tarde a todos. Juliana Souza, gerente de expansão aqui do Brasil, da Wadem, e é com muito prazer que nós recebemos todos vocês aqui nesse webinar organizado pela Wadem Prime Filial Brasil. A Escola Internacional de Negócios, com 28 sedes nos Estados Unidos, presentes em 11 países da língua espanhola na América Latina e agora também no Brasil. É uma verdadeira honra contar com a presença de todos vocês aqui hoje. Sabemos que o tempo de cada um aqui é valioso e agradecemos profundamente por terem escolhido investir esse momento para continuar se desenvolvendo conosco. Quem somos? Eu vou falar um pouquinho sobre a Wadem, rapidamente. A Wadem Prime é uma escola de negócios com visão global que oferece programas nas áreas de negócios, idiomas, tecnologia e formação profissional, com diploma americano. Contamos com o respaldo acadêmico da Wadem University e com o aval institucional da Câmara de Empresários Hispânicos dos Estados Unidos, o que garante a qualidade e a projeção internacional de todos os nossos programas. Sobre a nossa apresentação agora, eu tenho algumas dicas para passar para vocês. Antes de começarmos, algumas orientações técnicas, até para a gente poder ter uma aula super tranquila e desenvolver bem. Vamos lá. A gente pode manter os microfones desligados durante toda a apresentação para evitar as interferências. Caso queiram fazer perguntas, podem escrevê-las no chat a qualquer momento. Ao final da conferência, teremos um espaço de 10 minutos dedicado exclusivamente para perguntas e respostas ao vivo. Os materiais dessa aula também poderão ser enviados em PDF em até 72 horas, juntamente com o certificado emitido pela UADEM. A única contribuição que nós pedimos em troca é simples, mas para nós é muito valiosa, tá? É que nos enviem um breve depoimento ou avaliação sobre a sua experiência no curso e sobre o conteúdo que você está recebendo. Isso nos ajuda a melhorar continuamente e a seguir oferecendo formação acessível e de qualidade para todas as pessoas. Muito obrigada e vamos começar. Mais uma vez agradeço por estarem conosco. Pedimos que se preparem para fazer as anotações, participar e aproveitar ao máximo desse encontro. E agora, sem mais demora, passamos a palavra ao professor Fábio Winter. Está com você a palavra. Muito bem-vindo, professor.
Obrigado, Juliana. So let's get down to business. First thing I'd like to introduce myself. So my name is Fábio Winter. So everybody calls me Winter, but actually it's a Germanic name. So it goes Winter because if you will call me Winter, like the Germanic pronunciation, nobody will will know me. Okay. So guys, the thing that we have here, the conditional sentences, they are very important because it's not a presentation just to say that textbooks, they are not important. Actually, they are very, very important. But sometimes when you're dealing with native speakers, you have to understand that they mix a little bit some of the things that the grammar books they don't explain. Okay, but actually they are very important. Let's see next. So conditional form yours ever taught you, but native English speakers use every day. I'll really mix the conditions. So here's my name, Renato. Okay. So the conditional sentence, what is it? Basically, the conditional sentences, they are grammar structure that you use to make things a little more informal. Okay, in casual conversations, sometimes you have to mix to make the things a little clear, to make the things crystal clear when you are speaking. Okay, so this is a way to express yourself in a very advanced English. Okay, so the purpose here is for you to learn to express in a less complete formal structure. Okay, native speakers, they use these things every day, and the reason why you have to understand and you have to know how to use these things is because sounds a little more natural, okay? Sounds that you have advanced English, all right? So how does it work, by the way? So to be here in this class, you have to have a certain knowledge of the conditionals, okay, the conditional sentences. Everybody knows that you have conditional sentence type 0, type 1, type 2, type 3, okay? Sometimes they are called first, second, third conditional sentences, okay? So if you know how to deal with this grammar structure, this basic grammar structure, the things that you're going to learn here, and I hope you enjoy this lecture because it's very important, okay, for you. It's because sometimes there are some problems related to when you are trying to speak English and you don't know how to use these structures. Okay, so it works like I said, a basic structure that you have to understand, and sometimes you have to invert the auxiliary verb and the subject. For example, let me give you an example here. Don't worry, because we're going to see all these things that I'm just making this introduction for you, okay? But we are going to study all these things in the next part of the class, okay? Example, sometimes you can omit the if, okay? Example, if I had known, you have the if part of a sentence. Sometimes it's not necessary, just omit it. You leave if out, okay? You invert. If I had known, I can say had I known, all right? Another example, if she were, you can say were she, okay? So you invert and you omit if, all right? So, uh, let's go to the next here. So when to use these things. Okay, as I said, real life English. Sometimes when you are speaking English, you feel stuck trying to speak because you don't know how to use these structures. So the goal here is for you to understand how to mix tenses in hypothetical situations, learn common colloquial expressions, and to apply these structures in polite contexts like negotiations, advice, regrets, and even sarcasm. Okay, so the mix of these conditional sentences is it important because it's a unique knowledge. Okay, it's beyond basic grammar. All right, and it improves your fluency. So makes your English, as I said, more advanced. Okay, so there are some contexts that you may use negotiations, regrets, and even sarcasm. Okay, so as I said, to make you sound more informal, casual, okay? The second goal, it makes your English, it's for you to convey a tone of surprise, regrets, or to emphasize a condition, okay? So I don't know if you can see there are some questions here. Actually, it's just, this is the second slide, so it's not a big deal, okay? All right. Okay. So any, if you want to ask me any questions, so you can, use your microphones and you can interrupt me anytime you want. Okay. All right. Segundo a Juliana, eu posso também fazer algumas intervenções em português para vocês entenderem. Se não é um problema, eu continuo tudo em inglês, ok? All right.
Pode ficar à vontade, professor.
Ok. Right. Okay. Okay. As I was saying, the problem with us when we are trying to learn a new language, it's because this fluency that native speakers they have, it's kind of hard for us to understand at the first time. It's because you feel yourself stuck trying to speak because you don't know how to mix these things. Actually, because the textbooks they don't have these things. At least the books that I know, the methodologies that I know, they don't treat these things in the textbooks. They don't exactly teach these things. Okay, that's why it's hard for us to understand. Okay, so the issue here, you know all the grammar rules. You know how to use the first, the second, third conditionals, but you don't know exactly how to mix them. And this is very, very important. Okay, so our goal here is to try to hear sentences with stiff rules, real life English. Okay? So the goal here is to make the bridge between this gap, the real life English. Okay, so we're going to learn in this class basically three skills. The first one is mixed tenses, okay, hypothetical situation. The second skill is to learn how to use common colloquial expressions. And the skill number three is to apply these things in a real context. Okay, so as you can see here, so we have the first one, the first real situation, situations. It's very common. Let me give you an example using a conditional. Okay, uh, example: I would have accepted you had the price been lower. Okay, so this is an example of a mixed conditional used in a negotiation. Okay, the second here, the second thing, example, where are you? I would take the job. Okay, so I'm just giving advice. The third situation, regrets. Should I have known? And you finish the conditional sentence. The last one, sarcasm, is if you were so smart, why didn't you think of that? Okay? Don't worry to see all these things here. Okay? I'm just making this introduction for you to get the grasp of it. All right. Okay. So what's conditionals? The conditional tense use all the time to express themselves more naturally and precisely. Let's go to the next. Okay. What are mixed conditionals? The magic mixed conditionals. I think you know how to use and probably remember how to use the conditional. Types: type 0, type 1, type 2, and type 3. In some textbooks, you can see that they use the for zero conditional first, conditional second, conditional third, conditional. Okay, and today we're going to mix all of them. All right. So let's take a look here. Let's take a look here at some key examples. Let's see the first one. Here, my marker. Example: if plus, I think we're going to use this structure. This is the best of the beer that's really very bad. And the passports, but in this case, it is done. Okay? And this is the if clause. If we have the main clause, would plus present. For here, we can say infinitive with to. Sometimes you can find in a lexical infinitive with to. There is a past situation that has present effects. Okay, let's see one example here. If I had I would be a doctor now. Okay, so a past situation. Which part here is the past situation? Here in this part, if had part. So the lack of study happens in the past because this person didn't study hard in the past. And now, present fact that we have here is would be after one. Okay. Yes, you can see. So here I'm using express situation. And here would be express present effect, present result outcome. Okay. So this is the first example. Let's see here next. We have if plus plus would have plus present situation that would have had past effect. Let's see here the example. If I learns, I would have gone to the party yesterday. Okay, what is the present here? What is the present situation in this conditional clause? Here, this conditional sentence. Conditional clause here. This is the present situation. If I learns is okay, oh, I am using it in the past. Actually express a present situation. Okay, and here is the past effect. So is present that affects the past. Okay, so being busy is a present situation. Okay, and results would have gone to the party yesterday, missing the party events. Okay, one more thing that it's important here to understand. In the slides, as you can see, I use the long forms of the auxiliary verb. But of course, when you are, I'm just, it's easier for you to understand in the first moments to understand how to use this structure. Okay, but native speakers they use might be. Okay, so when you have the possibilities in speaking, you have the possibility of contraction. We use a contraction, you do it. Okay, the same case here. Okay, if I were in this, I would have gone to the party yesterday. Okay, so if you have any questions, just hit me. Okay. Um, okay, so let's see. Let's go to the next. Let's move on to the next. Okay, so here we have mixed conditionals in past and present. Okay, connecting the before with the now. All right. So let's take a look at this slide. The title here is connecting the before with the now. So far, we've talked about the magic mix of conditionals. Okay, now we are going to focus on a very specific and useful combination. Okay, the combination is here before. Okay, to express something happens or didn't happen in the past as a consequence in the present. Okay, so this structure that we have here is if plus. And you can use them for verbs when the noun has is miles. This form of any verb. Here I just put the example of do. All right. Think of this of it like this. Something happened in the past and you are feeling the effects of it today. Okay. This is the structure with the noun. Okay. Let's see some examples here from the moves. I just adapted because I was writing. So it's just an invitation for you to look for these examples in songs, pop culture, and so on. Okay. Everybody knows this move, social network. Okay. The example here. If he had just focused on his studies, he wouldn't be the billionaire founder of Facebook. So, you know this guy, Mark Zuckerberg. So he decided to focus on the Facebook, and he decided to leave the university. Okay, so that's why here we have just focus on these things. He wouldn't be the billionaire founder of Facebook. So if he had just focused on his studies is the past condition. Okay, the decision to not focus on studies happened years ago. Okay? In present, in fact, it's not. He is a billionaire. He is the founder of Facebook. Okay, so here is the present. Are is here. All right, and the present is here represented you wouldn't be the billionaire founder of Facebook now. Okay. We have now second example here from the song "Someone Like You." Here, as you can see, if I had known how much you meant to me, I wouldn't be so. It's the past here that affects the present. Here, if I had known how much you meant to me, I wouldn't be so alone now. Okay. As I said in the beginning, you can sometimes if out and make this inversion. Had I known how much you meant to me, I wouldn't be so. Okay. It's also possible, but here in the song, I'm just using this example to explain how these things can happen in real life. Instead of using if, you can just make this inversion here. All right. So here an example from a song. Okay. So let's questions. Is everything okay? So let's continue. Okay. So here I just prepared this speaking activity. It's just for us to train a little bit. And the purpose here is not for you to speak the perfect grammar, but it's for you to try to use this in a real context. Okay. So let's put this into practice. The speaking activities, no regrets or okay. This is where the grammar becomes real. So the activity is called no regrets or are there. Okay. Actually, it's very, very simple. It's just for you to make some examples if you want to write here, or if you don't feel comfortable speaking here, to open your microphone and speak. You can write here in the chat. Okay. Actually, it's very, very simple. Think about a past decision that acts in the present. Okay. We're just going to use the things that I have explained, and we're going to try to make examples of your own. All right. So let's take a look here. See how it worked. If I hadn't stayed up so late last night, I wouldn't be so tired right now. Another example, another prompt. If I had stayed harder in the past, I would feel more confident about my grades today. Okay? Very simple for you to try to think about an examples of your own. Okay? I can give you some seconds for you to think, and you can write here in the chat, or if you feel comfortable, you can open your microphone and say your example for us. Okay? I don't know if you understand. Did you have any questions? Do you have any questions, guys? No? Let me take a look here in the chat. Yes. Okay. Here, participants. So anyone else here? Don't be shy. Okay, look, I'll give you an example of my own just to help you. Let's see here. An example of my own. If I hadn't applied for this, I wouldn't be here trying to explain the conditional sentence to you. Okay, very simple example. All right, the past that affects the present right now. Okay, basically. Okay. It's not bad. It's not bad. Hmm. Alright. So let me know if you understand the things that I'm saying. Okay. As I said at the beginning, for you to understand this class, you're supposed to have a little more advanced. I wouldn't say advanced English level, but at least to understand how to use the conditionals, without mixing them. All right. Let's move on. Okay. So now we have the second thing that I want to explain for you today. All right. Well, let's dive into the second type of mixed conditional, where the present affects the past. Okay. The noun that impacts the before. All right. So this time we're just flipping the script. Instead of a past event affecting the present, we're talking about a present situation, something that is true about you right now, and how this affects the past. Okay, as I said, to express that a present situation, personality traits, an ongoing condition, and the consequence in present situation, that consequence in the past. Let's see here the structure. Simple if plus simple past. Okay. Simple past of any verb that you want to use. And the verbs here once have first past perfect. Okay. So this is the structure that's useful for you. Okay. Let's think about something here. Let's imagine that you are a very shy person. Okay. So you're a very shy person. So this thing affected your past. Okay. Let me think of an example here of shyness. Example, if I weren't so shy, I would have talked to her or him at the party last night. So a personality trait that I have right now, that is my personality trait, shyness, and affects. Again, if I weren't so shy, okay? Então, se eu não fosse tão tímido, if I weren't so shy, I would have talked to her at the party last night, okay? So it's a personality trait that's because that party happened last night. So my personality traits that I have now in the present affected my past, okay? If I weren't so shy, I would have talked to her. So the past is here, and the present is in this part, the if clause and the main clause express. So now that impacts the past. So this is the second type. Remember that in the first class we were studying the past that affects the present, and now we are studying the present that affects the past. Okay. So, any questions? No questions? Okay. let's go to the next. Okay, so here I have more examples for you to understand this structure. Okay, so example from the film, from the movie, Forrest Gump. Okay. I think this movie, so the main actor was okay. And Forrest Gump is a guy that this sits as this bench and are just talking about this. An example here. If Forrest weren't so innocent, so many incredible adventures in his life. So Forrest that experienced so many adventures, and he during the us about his experiences in the past. Okay? So here is the present because the guy Forrest Gump is innocent and optimistic. He first is so innocent and optimistic. So personal traits now. Uh, character. And here after have experienced so many incredible adventures in his life. So his past had experiences due to this traits, innocence and optimism. Okay. Another example here is from this song that is very, very popular around the world. It's I Will Survive, but the singer is Gaynor. And here, if I were weak, I would have crumbled, wouldn't have moved on after you left. Okay. So as you can see in live English, when you study textbooks, it's teacher is they will be friends as we have the main class. Also, you can add more parts of the conditional. Okay. So it's not just that's a rigid structure that the textbooks they teach you. So you have to look for ways to learn the real English. They use in movies, songs, speaking in formal contests. So just let me erase this part here. Okay, again, if I were weak, so she's saying she is weak. Okay, present personality traits and how this and moved on. Okay, so even if you guys that your shares to your past. Okay, so the way she used her present personality traits that affects. So more two examples for you to understand this structure. Okay, and this is a power way. This is a very powerful way to express how your current self, your personality, your habits, your situation shapes the way you interact with the world and the outcomes of your past actions. All right. This speaking activities. For simple, again, instructions, imagine current traits and discuss what would have impact past events. Okay. Example here the prompts. If I were more adventurous, I would have tried bungee jumping on our trip last year, right? If I were more adventurous. So this is the past, the present, sorry, present that affects. If I knew, second example with seconds, if I knew how to play the guitar, I would have performance at school and show when I was younger. Okay? So here again, you're using verbs in the past to express a current situation in the present. Okay? And this present that affects. If I knew how to play the guitar, I would have performed it at the school talent show when I was younger. All right. So, anybody would like to give a try? Here to make one sentence, just one sentence. Or maybe it's very simple. Let me give you an example here. Um, let's see here. If I had more time, I would have I start university. Okay, very simple. So the present. For example, uh, if I bought, you know, let's let me give you a more precise example. If I bought that car, I would have traveled to the capital when I was something like that. It is not rock science. It's not something so complicated. But of course, the structure here and to understand the real meaning, the real context that you can apply this conditional, this self-conditional. Okay, let's read the next. Okay, so here we have some older expressions with conditionals. Okay, and it's not something so complicated. Of course, there are many more colloquial expressions. Here just using 4 ways to express, okay? But of course, if you look for more colloquial expressions with conditionals, you're going to find a lot of them, okay? But here, I think these ones are the most important by now for you to understand, okay? So, let me see here. More than just if, okay? I don't know if you remember in the beginning of the class, I told you that sometimes you may omit, you may leave, you may leave if on the conditional sentence. Okay? So more than just like conditionals, beyond formal structures, natives use some conditional expressions that are super useful and sound. See the first one. If I were you, so give an advice, of course. To give an advice, you have more verbs, should, could, and so on. But it's also possible to use the if clause, the conditional sentence, to express an advice, to give an advice. To be in someone's place. Okay. So let's see. Let's just let me give you an example. I need to move to a new house. I'm asking to a friend, and I say, I need to move to a new house, and I need some advice. And I ask my friend, what do you think? And my friend says, using this conditional sentence, I would look for a new apartment or house in the internet. Okay, using truth. This person uses a conditional sentence. Okay. For example, if I were you, if I were you, I'd apologize. So, put yourself in someone's shoes, all right? If I were you, I'd apologize. So this is the first colloquial way to use a conditional. Okay. The second one here is should you need, should you have. Okay. It's more formal to offer help or instruction. Should you need assistance, please let me know. So here we have a conditional sentence with should. Should you need any assistance, just let me know. Okay. So this is a, it's a more formal way to use this conditional. Okay, we're going to give to offer help or instruction to a person. Should you have, should you need an assistant, please let me know. Okay. The third one that we have here, it's but for. But for indicates something wouldn't have happened without a factor. Okay. So here you have something that happens. Okay. But for. Take a look here, the example. But for your help, I wouldn't have finished on time. What exactly does express for your help? Okay. It means that without your help, this part here, this thing, is not possible. Okay. But for your help, I wouldn't have finished on time. Okay. When you want to use this, it's a great way to express, you want to express a specific factor. Okay, that factor happens, so the other thing happens because of that factor, right? But for your help. I don't know if you understood my example. Okay, and the last one, where it's not for, so more formal, similar to but for. This is very useful when you are writing something. Actually, this thing is this expression is in writing. Okay, so similar to but for. Okay, write not for to the beach. Okay, so just examples here, and I think they are the most useful right now for you. Okay, as I said, you can examples, and you're going to find more colloquial expressions. If you know how to do this, I think that is okay. The content is a little, it's not just so easy if you don't understand how to use the conditional sentence, the basic forms. Okay, because here you're just mixing things that you actually to understand these things, you have to study the conditionals first, zero first, second, and third. Okay, how to use them. Okay, how to use them. Sure, of course, we're not going to use the mixed conditionals in a proper way. Okay, so here we have more examples for you. So we have real contexts, negotiations, and advice. Where we use this? So negotiations. So if we had a solid deal now, we would have closed the business. Negotiation. Okay. This is an iconic scene of the movie Jerry Maguire when he starts screaming, "Give me the money! Give me the money!" Okay, and here adapt some of the things he said here for this conditional sentence. If we had a solid deal, now we would have closed the business yesterday. The second example here, the Godfather. If you could offer me more respect, movie, using these conditions. Okay, some more examples here. from the move Dead Poets Society. If I were you, I would seize the day and make it extraordinary. If I were you, I would seize the day. So that's so the teacher here, Williams, is giving the chance. For example, from France, if Rachel had realized her feelings earlier, she wouldn't have had the rush to the series France. Very famous in the 90s, I guess. Actually, I don't remember. So I think the rest from the 90s. If Rachel had realized her feelings earlier, she wouldn't have to rush to the see. So here we present us these examples. Okay. Here we have from this music, from this song, what if, Kate Winslet, if I had the chance to change the past, I would have. Okay, so here we have the present, that's the past. Okay. Another example from Titanic. If I had known the ship would sink, I wouldn't have. I would be okay. So here the past, the past, the present. Okay. Another example of mixed conditions. Okay. The last situation that we have is sarcasm, that use the conditional sentence. From the movie Devil Wears Prada, if you had given me something useful to work with, I might not have to be so Miranda. Okay. So you're using the conditional sentence sarcasm. Okay. And the Big Bang Theory, if I were a bit smarter, you would have understood my joke sooner. Okay. If you were, so he's saying that the guy is not that smart. Okay. Would you won't have understood my joke soon. Okay, sarcasm. All right. So this is the last situation that you use with conditional with sarcasm. Okay. And here prepare this time to talk. And very simple speaking activities. Actually, it's very common in English class. Also a little funny, I guess. And you have to complete the chain and role play. So instructions. You start a conditional sentence, the next student completes, and then starts a new conditional sentence for the following student. Keep the chain going. Okay. Very simple. The teacher starts. If I hadn't come to this class today, I would be sleeping right now. If so, the teacher starts conditional sentence. If I hadn't come to this class today, the first student completes. I would be sleeping right now. And makes another conditional. If I were an astronaut, the student number two has to complete. If I were an astronaut, I would have traveled to the moon by now. So you complete this sentence, the conditional sentence, then start with another one. If my favorite band had never formed, make this the students complete. I would and for the students to practice, put these conditional sentences into practice. Okay. There are some scenarios. Okay. Students to, to use the conditional sentence that they have learned so far. Okay. Scenarios. Okay. In pairs or small groups, act out different scenarios. Try to use conditional expressions naturally. Okay. Scenario number 1. Advice and skills. Say to them, use mixed conditions to express small deal. What really happens if that happens? So it's not a very big conversation. The students they just act out some things and are obliged. They are supposed to use the conditional sentence to express. Okay. The second scenario is a negotiation. You want to buy a new phone, but it's too expensive. You have to convince the salesperson to give you a discount. Use conditionals to suggest you will do if they show their price, what they might have done if you had come earlier. Okay. So here, scenario number 2 implies a negotiation. So, the students they will make this small conversation using some of the examples studied in the previous slides. Okay. And scenario number 3, sarcasm. Someone just spilled coffee all over your new shirt, and they say, oops, you respond sarcastically using a conditional. Correct? So this is the third scenario for these students to practice sarcasm using conditional sentence. So, anyways, we're just finishing this class. Of course, as I said, for this class you have to have a basic knowledge of conditional sentences, but it's not something so complicated. They are the natural way to connect the past and the present, the cause and effect. It's like the native speakers, they usually do. Okay? Actually, it's very, very easy when you are watching a movie or TV show, whatever. So they use these things. Okay? So, suggestion for you: observe, practice, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Right? So it's just an invitation for you to look for these conditions. I'm sure 100% that you are going to find examples in movies, all many songs. You know, it's a very, how can I say? It's very easy for you to find those conditional sentences. So think about which situations do you think we can use mixed conditions. Okay. We just study 4, negotiation, advice, sarcasm, and advice. Okay, and also regrets. All right. Okay, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thank you for your attention, and I'm open for questions. Okay, guys. Thank you very much for your time, for your patience, and I hope you have at least understood some part of this class. It will be ready.
Ok, muito obrigado, teacher Fábio Winter. Eu acho que hoje temos uma turma que aqui o equipe achou muito bom a aula, mas tem muitos participantes em um nível mais básico. Então, mas parabéns. Não, acho que não temos perguntas aqui no chat. Então, para aqueles que participaram, vamos enviar uma ficha de avaliação. Por favor, de preencher e enviar para nós. Vamos enviar também de administração um diploma, um pequeno certificado por ter assistido a esta aula. Obrigado a Juliana, da Central do Brasil, e Obrigado novamente aos participantes e ao professor Fábio.
Obrigado. Eu preparei essa aula porque foi pedido qual seria o nível dos alunos. Eu coloquei, né, que seria um nível mais avançado, mas eu acho que
Não,
deu para entender assim, o contexto geral
tudo
do
perfeito. Tudo,
de-
tudo perfeito para o intuito desta aula, tudo perfeito. Obrigado, obrigado a todos.